Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, June 13th, 2019. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll see here that price is bouncing a little bit today after pushing through the previous session's low and is now pushed back above the previous session's open price. You'll notice here over the last 4 days here we've had very narrow range overall. The previous session, as a matter of fact, had a 15-point range. 15.75 points was the range. On a one-day basis, that's very, very narrow. The last time we saw ranges that narrow was here back in April, which had a very quiet melt-up phase. And that's, again, very, very quiet price action for the most part. And on a 4-day range basis, this is fairly narrow as well. We can bring this back up to 4 days to quantify that here. And you'll see that we have another compression signal here. So again, a very quiet week overall, which is, usually what you would see after an aggressive week that we had the previous week. Now, after you get sideways price action here, especially at these highs, we are going to see a move one way or another. Is this thing going to start pushing through 2900 and finding acceptance back above that zone en route to 2960 and perhaps 3000? Or are we finally going to see a failure of these price levels and a rotation back down? I mentioned before that given this strong low and a strong high here, we could be headed back to 2820. And so again, I'm going to be keeping an eye on 2900 here. Any failure to get above that zone could offer an opportunity to fade this back toward 2820. All right, let's take a look at the NQ now. The NQ also showing some strength in overnight trading here as well. Very similar price action to the ES, failing below 3-4 day lows here and bouncing back up some degree. We still have only pushed 3 ticks beyond that 7600 level, which we mentioned it was major overhead resistance. And again, we have strong pivot low with a strong pivot high, and 7270 could be the next target down below. So we could be looking at a fade back to 7270 here if prices cannot find acceptance above 7600 very soon. Overall, we have a very narrow range on a 4-day range basis. So again, after this range is finished being developed here, we could see expansion out of this range that sparks the next expansive move. Let's take a look now at crude oil. Crude oil over here has surged in overnight trading. This one saw a major downside break from the 3-day range the previous session and dropped tremendously here. We have now seen this thing surge right back above 53s on news that oil tankers have been attacked in the Gulf of Oman. So again, that conflict there is leading to a rally today in the price of oil here. And you see kind of a failed lower low here. And when that type of price action happens, there's a tendency to come back and test the recent pivot high. So this is going to be very important. You can see that blue dotted line is the previous month's close. That's where bears have been defending this entire time. Then they try to take it bid, then they took it offered, and now today it is the high of the day. So that is a very important key level there. It's at about 53 20, 53.25 or so, but that's the high of the day. And overall, if prices can't get through that zone, then we could drop back down. It has had trouble finding acceptance above the 8-period average ever since it took it offered here. If it can get above that zone, there would be a major test at 55s. There are buy stops above those 55s, a major LVN there. And again, on this failure to get lower, there is usually a tendency to try to pop back up. So we will see if this market can continue to find acceptance here above the previous month's close. That previous month's close looks like it's 53.36 as the level. So again, that's the key level here to watch with crude. Very strong overnight move so far. We'll see if it can continue to add to those gains, or is the range in, and perhaps we trade within the current range the rest of the day. We'll see how that develops. Overall, let's take a look here at gold. You'll see here that this one pulled back into the 8-period average. We talked about before that we could see a minor pullback from these highs, but given the strength of the current trend here and how bullish the 8-period has come up to provide support, that we could see a bounce of some magnitude here off that zone. We have gotten the bounce over the last couple of days, including the rejection day here. but we're still finding lower highs here. So again, we have a high, a higher high failure, and now the potential lower high developing on the right side here. If price cannot find acceptance beyond 1350 soon, there could be another attempt to come back toward 1310 to 1305, maybe even as low as 1286. Again, 1360 to 1375 up here is the major area of resistance. At some point down the road, that could be breached and we could see a significant rally. But right now, until that occurs, it is being treated as 5-year resistance. So anytime price pushes up into those areas, we could see some sort of rejection. So right now, minor little push higher here, but if price cannot find acceptance above 1345, 1350 soon, perhaps we see another rotation back down toward 1310 to 1305. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.